How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Black Christmas from 2006. This is the first remake. Now, later on in, I believe, 2019, Blumhouse would do a remake, the second remake. A lot of people don't know there was a remake before that one. This is the Dimension version, the first one. And maybe I'll eventually cover the 2019 Blumhouse one, but we're running out of days in December and I don't think I have time this year, so I'll probably get to that movie next year. This one is quite often stylized as Black Xmas, but if we look at the back, the official title of this movie is Black Christmas. This is directed by Glen Morgan, who also did the screenplay, and this movie stars Katie Cassidy, Michelle Trachtenberg, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Really cool to see her in this. She's obviously the star that would go on to have the most success after this movie. People knew who she was, but she wasn't near as big of a name as she is now. And it's really good to see her, and I do like seeing her in this movie. Sadly, though, not the main character, and that is something that definitely would be different if you did this movie today. So yeah, good to see her, always good to see her, but yeah, not the main character. While we're looking on the back of this DVD, though, I did notice something interesting. One of the executive producers is Mark Cuban, and I'm like, is it that Mark Cuban? That's kind of interesting that he was involved in this project. He was also the president in Sharknado, so maybe Mark Cuban has a bigger history in horror than I knew about, so that's weird. But whatever. But anyway, this movie is a good little gory piece of insanity, and I know that when this first came out, it was initially rejected by a lot of people, in particular fans of the first one. The first one has a big cult following behind it, but the interesting thing with this movie is this movie would also get its cult following. It's, like I said, gory, over-the-top, insane, and quite often goes way too far. But we very seldom see movies that go this far, that are so big and so loud, and it's actually pretty rare. So, yeah, I see why this does have a cult following behind it. Now, me personally, I did really like the first Black Christmas movie. It's a very good example of a true crime-styled proto-slasher. Fits in the same air as the Toolbox Murders and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw, I think, actually came out just a few months before it. And it's a good movie. But that being said, I was never as obsessed with it as a lot of people were. And I think, liking it, but not being obsessed with it, not thinking it's the biggest, best movie ever, I think that really helped me with the remake, because if the first one was sacred to you, you're probably not going to like all the changes that they made. But if you can see this movie for what it is, it's a very unique take. They didn't just mimic the first one, but they still kept, a lot of it, so it's an interesting, different take that goes way farther than a lot of other movies do. And if you can put aside just how different it is than the first, there is a lot of big over-the-top things to like here. Now, I will admit, not all of it works, and this movie definitely has faults with it. But that being said, it is very, very interesting and very, very different. Let's talk about some of the big differences. There is way more kills, way more death, and way more gore this time around. Lots of blood, lots of stuff with eyeballs. That's a reoccurring type of kill in this movie. Eyeballs get plucked out, used as Christmas decorations, eaten. It's a lot of eyeball stuff. You also get someone who makes Christmas cookies out of human flesh and dunks them in milk and eats them. That's pretty gross and extreme right there. Also, a weird thing when it comes to the kills. You remember the famous plastic bag kill from the first one that will leave the lady in the rocking chair. Strangely enough, they try to make the plastic bag into like a signature weapon for this movie, So it's not just the First Lady. Plastic bags are used all the time. And it's kind of weird, but when you think about it, you could probably fit like 20 of them in your pocket. They're really easy to find. I mean, I actually have one on me right now. So, yeah, it's an interesting choice in weapon. It's kind of weird, you know, but hey, it is what it is. But anyway, we also get that this time around, everybody knows who Billy is. The first time, Billy was a stranger. No one knew who Billy was. If you wanted to know more about him, you had to piece his backstory through the conversations he had on the phone, and those were rambling and hard to follow, and you only ever got like one shot of his eye, and that was it. Billy was a mystery that fans still talk about to this day, but Billy in this movie is a legend. Everybody knows him. He's like a campfire story. He lived in the sorority house before it was the sorority house. He had yellow skin like that guy from Sin City, and he had a very abusive mother that would lock him in the attic. And also, because he's a legend, the sorority girls leave out presents for him. So it's kind of a tradition. It's a legend. It's a campfire story. So people know who Billy is, which is a big, big difference. There's also a character by the name of Agnes, which I won't go too far into because it's kind of spoiler territory, but she's another element that's thrown in that really shakes things up. A lot of people don't like her. She has a really, really disturbing and dark origin story, but it is another element to shake things up. Now, as far as the faults, this movie's action kind of has a hard time tracking. Like, you're not sure, you know, who you're going to be following. It's like, wait, who is this girl again? Oh, it's that one. And you're not really sure where all the characters are in relation to each other. Especially there's so many of them, and people are, like, crawling through the walls in this movie. So sometimes it is a little hard to follow the action and know who's going on, who is this, where are they, stuff like that. There's also a few times where it doesn't work. Like, a lot of the kills are big, over the top, and great, you know? But there are some cases where it goes for something that really doesn't work. There's a character that gets killed behind a piece of frosted glass, and you don't see what happens, but all of a sudden their head explodes. There's blood everywhere, and I'm like, how did that happen? How did their head just explode? That's really weird. There's also, literally, shortly after that scene, there's a character that gets killed because they back into a wall, and an icicle falls off the roof and stabs them in the head. A completely accidental kill, and I have to wonder, like, I'm from Texas, we really don't get that much snow down here. Every now and then, but that's about it. Is that an actual problem you guys have up north? Like, if you live in a snowier climate, do icicles just fall down and kill people? Like, do you have to knock them down from big buildings, or they're just gonna start stabbing people? I don't think so, but maybe. But yeah, that just happens in this movie, this weird little accident that's not even the killer doing much. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points and make sure you have a basic idea as to what this movie's about. We open up with this girl wrapping a Christmas gift to her sister, and she doesn't notice, but someone crawls out from under the bed and puts a plastic bag over her head, and she'll become that first kill, the girl that winds up in the rocking chair in the attic. So we're jumping right into an iconic moment. Like I said, the bags would become a thing with this movie, a commonly used tool. I think the first time around it was like a plastic bag that went over a dress, like a laundry bag. Here it's a shopping bag. The first one is much more opportunistic. Here we'd find out a reason for it later. But yeah, it becomes a reused tool. And also, this is the character that someone would come and look for. In the first movie, you had that guy that was looking for his daughter. This time around, it's an estranged sister. The sister was a past sorority member, and she's vaguely familiar with the place, but, you know, a falling out with the sorority, a falling out with her actual blood sister, and now she's trying to repair things. It's an interesting take on that. But anyway, after that, we jump to Billy in the asylum. We see a drunken Santa who's wandered into the wrong wing of a mental health institution, and the security guards show him Billy Lenz. We see his name right on the door. People know who he is. They know where he is. He's right there. It's Billy. You know, not near as much of a mystery, but not near as much of a mystery, but we get a different story this time around, so I guess it's different. They tell a little bit about his backstory here, but there'll also be more excuses to talk about it later, so it's kind of divided up. But anyway, shortly after the guard talks about him, Billy makes a break for it. He kills the guard, he kills the Santa, and briefly dresses up in the Santa suit. Now, that being said, he doesn't keep it on the whole movie. I kind of wish he did. I do love killer Santa Clauses. It would make sense, but he just uses it to get out of the hospital. So Billy's out, and he's back, and we do get a few other things going on in the sorority house. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is religious, and she doesn't really like that they're giving presents to a serial killer, and that gives them another excuse to talk about the origin story of Billy, and we get to find out more about his mother, and later on about who exactly Agnes is. We also get the boyfriend this time around. The boyfriend, this time, is trying to cover up an adult video of him that leaked online. He's with a girl right now, but before they were together, he was actually with one of her friends, and it's a video of him and one of her friends that leaked on the internet and is going to make her very, very mad if she finds out. Once again, the boyfriend's a red herring character. It's done differently this time around. Now, people who are big super fans of the first Black Christmas, they really like the boyfriend red herring for some reason. I personally thought it was pretty weak. In the original movie, the boyfriend red herring doesn't really work. Several people die before he finds out about the pregnancy, which was supposed to be his big motivation. And also some of the kills take place when he's supposed to be at the music conservatory. I thought Billy was the boyfriend rather, I thought the boyfriend was a very weak red herring in the first one that people for some reason really love, even though he's clearly not the killer. And this time around, it's kind of the same, but different. You know he's not going to be the killer, but you see why he might have a motivation with this video. So there is that there. They do receive some creepy phone calls, not nearly to the extent of the original, which is something that I kind of wish they didn't downplay. But granted how big and insane and over the top they go in other places, it is kind of weird that the phone calls are downplayed. You think that they would go even farther, and they don't. They're just in here a few times. But then again, the phone calls was where we pieced Billy's origin story together, and the fact that we just get to see it, I guess we didn't need them as much. So there is that. But of course the girls will go off one by one. Billy's crawling through the walls. He's going to come out and pick them off. And the girls start to realize that they are in a slasher movie, and they debate what to do. They try to call the police, but turns out there's a big snowstorm, and the police can't get to them, which I found was actually a good addition. In the first one, it felt like anyone could just walk up to the sorority house, like they're just kind of there. And I do like that they're snowed in this one, you know? Keep them isolated, keep them in a dangerous circumstance anyway, have the power go out. I like that they're snowed in. I thought it was a good change. But anyway, they of course get killed. It's a slasher movie. It builds to a big climax and then another climax that's not super necessary, but whatever. There is a lot to like here. Very big, very over the top, very in your face, very gory. And yeah, it crosses the line several times, and when it goes too far, it definitely goes too far. But it does bring a lot more than a lot of other slashers would go for. I mean, I recently watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, and that one, all you get is like the camera running at them or maybe a stabbing. That movie's so tame. I'm really glad I got to watch a movie like this. Big, crazy, over the top. And the thing is, that's not really where the original was. You know, it's got the pieces. You know, it's got the boyfriend, it's got the person looking for the killed victim. It's got the phone calls and the lady in the rocking chair and the plastic bag. But it has a very different tone to it, you know? And you do have to learn to move your mind away from where the first Black Christmas was. It still has the bones, it still is worth calling this a remake, but it goes in a very different, very, very crazy direction. And if the first Black Christmas is very, very special to you, you may not like this. But if you can take it for what it is, and if you like gory, over-the-top, absolutely insane movies, this is fun. You know, it's dumb, yes. It's dumb, it has faults, but for what it is, it's fun, and not many movies go this far, and I like that. So yeah, maybe it's kind of a so bad it's good, maybe it is dumb fun, but I like it for what it is, and I have to know this is a different version than the original, you know? But anyway, I am curious, did you guys like it, or do you absolutely hate this? This is one of those movies that I could totally see people absolutely hating, and even though I like it, I would totally understand that. So I am curious what you guys thought of this movie. Are you in the cult following of the original or the cult following of this one? It is interesting, but hey, feel free to have a discussion in the comments, just everybody keep it civil. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more. This should be my Christmas playlist where you can find my review of the original movie. You can find my review of most of the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. And hey, there's even non-horror stuff there like the Star Wars Holiday Special or Christmas Vacation. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Christmas playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.